Good evening. So first, I'd like to make a prayer here to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So please join with me. Om no sinam dara jinu rupe, tashi chunchu jina jubayi, sangi shudangi dup. Kuna jose daja tashi shu, dimengi president. Chebe jimba gata padamba, kuna gume. Kumbutarba sira bedani, simjetim jalaw. 이즘제 바제럽트벌데 신점도 베듯이 디버지바 게라 차자로 점배주노 빨된도 지르즈 원공부 점배배 세인이 보르바 님게니 보파조군두상 우베두지 베가누지도 누부다와르디 차제르는 뜻이 베게죠 전주 신바게라 차자 진진도 뜻이 슬기냐 두죠 보자용 니라던다 분서배배 민우게세 문이르고 진진다 주의적인 차단제 주도기와 주진이지. 그래서 오든 베베베베 다시 한번 길어져. 선바 친구들 중심에부 미도는 게 보유. 파괴보다 노아미미서 남대 시제로 주고. 지슈라도는 동도지진 비와를 주대. 소숨내서 글레르지베 지대 교원결하셔. 다제 등들저와 좀발라 기단이 워서와 군지 두den베베 섬도이진 룩다시데레 보숨 초바라슈 다제 등들저와 기단이 워서와 군지니 두den베베 섬 이진 룩다시데레 보숨 초바라슈 다제 등들저와 기단이 워서와 군지니 두den베베 섬도이진 룩다시데레 보숨 초바라슈 좀는데 바라고 뭐지든 잡아야나 차서로 관계를 드립니다. 이다름다르서 징이되고 지진지진이 그도가 알바세 거다세베서를 뭐를 문음되고 도저군나 부지더제이나 주용된 송 두드르시로 뇽모녀노 되거죠. 머리 무세 동어리고 징이 조사를 전남 눈에서 주서주더니 교수대베고 주라주나 중인여래 달로모스 잠프리 양나도 엄마라버서나데 머르버서나데 Umarabusanade, Marabusanade, 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 Umarabusanade, Umarabusanade, Marabusanade, Umarabusanade, 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 Kurgumda de Shing, Ubetana, Sherbridge. Lebanzeme Mechugo, Gumbo Jabayana, Chansa, Consa Tabor the Balm, choose it. Gumbo Jamia, came a Parianton Warshu. So I'd like to begin with a phrase today. The Tibetan phrase is Simki Pani Shintun Yangda Zobe Changchubdu. In other words, Simki Pa means like we talk altruistic motivation or generating motivation. What is generating motivation? Or what is altruistic motivation? The altruistic motivation is the wish that every being gain liberation. That's what altruistic motivation is about. So therefore, we can say what connection and why that is important for us to generate that kind of mindset, altruistic motivation, that every being be free from this cycle of samsara or cycle of cyclic existence. Because the cyclic existence is a place where all beings go through suffering of all kinds. And since nobody wants suffering, everybody wants to be free and happy. Therefore, the altruistic motivation is the supreme mind. There is no mind like an altruistic motivation, because that mind is only one focus, one aim, and that one aim is liberation and happiness of all beings. That is what altruistic motivation means. Therefore, the altruistic motivation is the supreme mind of all kinds of mind. When we think of our own happiness, it's good, but it's still a small mind. We just think of ourselves. It's still kind of like self-centeredness is there. But when we think of all beings, like I want happiness, others want happiness. Like I don't want to go through suffering, others don't want to go through suffering. No difference. As long as there's a sentient, someone who has consciousness, someone who has awareness, is equally the same, regardless of what kind of form we have, or whether humans, men, women, animals, creatures, bacterial level, so small, as long as there's a consciousness, everyone, regardless of background of religious faith, regardless of background of social status, everybody wants happiness and freedom on the spot. Their deep yearning is there in each and every being. Because of that, altruistic motivation is very important to develop in our life for our own liberation and for the liberation and happiness of all beings. The entire universe, not just human being, but includes like animals, creatures, all beings. That motivation is extremely important to develop and reflect that. If we have weakness in that, we need to bring that about into our mind stream. So that's very, very important in the Buddhist teaching. And we can also say that also in the Christian teaching, Jesus showing, the path of compassion, very great. And Mother Teresa in Calcutta, who worked with the lepers and sick people, and really very great. Because always the concern is how to free beings from the cycle of suffering. And we can see that as much as I don't want to be suffering even for an instant, others are the same. Based on that, we can all have a harmonious world. We can have an enlightened world. And we can have a world where we can all live and grow and finally find happiness. I think this attitude and motivation and understanding of this nature, or realization of this nature, extremely important. It's not it's not an imagination that we want happiness and we want liberation. Not just we, every being wants liberation. Every being wants happiness. Based on that, I think it's become very, very important that how we can make this world a better world, and finally how we can all transcend from our ignorance, from our afflictive emotion. I think without this kind of mindset, it's not possible that we can make a world a better world. And now, then we also see now the downfall. Many times we are not even, number of people perhaps don't even know what compassion means. Number of people don't even know what good heart means. Not that they don't have the seed of compassion, or not that they don't have the possibility to discover and understand and realize their reality, but due to certain level of ignorance and bad habit, one never came into an environment where one can hear that, or one can reflect on that, and one can see why this is so important and is missing in my life. I think a lot of people. And sometimes now, according to, in the Dharma it says, the root cause of our suffering is ignorance and afflictive emotion. That is what pulling you back. And the ignorance here is based on the very deep self-centered ego, and its limbs, which are all different afflictive emotion, such as anger, jealousy, envy, all those things. And when we ask the question, where is my suffering coming from, which we go through every day in our life, we are all dealing with that in our job situation, different life situation, family situation, in relationship with our friends, relationship with people, that all this suffering coming, conflict is coming from our deep-rooted habit of self-centered and its expression of afflictive emotion. That is the very immediate cause and the cause. There's no other cause to our suffering than that cause. That needs to be recognized. As long as you don't recognize, you will always have the problem. There's a saying, if you don't recognize the thief, then you will always, things get stolen. Therefore, we have CCTV camera today. So when there's a CCTV camera, then you can get who the thief is. And next time you see the person's face, then you can, protect your property or whatever. Same thing, when you see the very root cause of your suffering is caused by afflictive emotion and self-centeredness, then you have the deep insight to change that. It's in your power, you have the potential, and you can make the change. And then you see a life-changing experience. But until you don't look at that, there is no way, because due to tremendous habits that we are used to, this ego and afflictive emotions coming out of that. So therefore, the Dharma, what is Buddhism? Then question comes, what is Buddhism? Buddhism is none other than working with the main sort of like, when you apply for a job, then they ask you a resume. I'm okay, I've done this is my expertise, this is my diploma, and this is what I can do. So if someone wants to do Dharma practice, Buddhism, what is the requirement? Work with your afflictive emotion. That's the main requirement. Change that, transform that, see that, and work on the spot. That's the only requirement to become the Dharma practitioner. There's no other requirement than that. Because what the Dharma is about, transforming yourself from the self-centeredness to your fundamental goodness, fundamental good. We all have a fundamental goodness. We are not bad. We have good inherent quality. But our inherent good quality is obscured due to our habits, self-centeredness. That's the only reason why we don't see our potential of, our inherent positive quality or inherent basic goodness. The traditional example is like a sunshine obscured by the sun, obscured by the cloud. So the sun is very bright, but you don't see the sun. It doesn't mean there is no sun. Sun is there, but you don't see it because of the dark clouds. And the dark cloud has to go away, the sun has to shine, and in fact, the dark cloud make no effect as far as the reality of the sun is concerned. Same thing, as far as the reality of the basic goodness in each and every being is concerned, it has no effect. It's just a passing by experience, sort of, that we go through like this experience trapped in our different habits of afflictive emotion. So therefore, when Buddha first gave the teaching of Four Noble Truths, he said, the first noble truth, he said, there is suffering. Buddha didn't invent suffering. He just said, there is suffering. That's the first noble truth. Now, since suffering is the one, we all try to get out and find happiness. Every day we get up, we drink a cup of coffee. Why? Happiness. You want to put a different dress? Why? Happiness. You want to wear a torn jean, modern style? Happiness. You want to have tattoo on your body? Happiness. Everything we do for happiness, there is not one single thing we think, oh, I'm doing this for suffering. Nobody thinks that. Whether we are right or wrong, we think we are doing for happiness. And then we go to work. Why? Because we think, it will bring me happiness. So that shows the deep inherent quality we are always seeking for liberation, a space, a freedom. And why America considered one of the best countries in the world? Because of freedom and equality. That's the very reason. Of course, it's not perfect. No system is perfect. But this is the best in this world, I have to say. Because it gives the freedom of equality, rights, and that's wonderful. This is we can't to live in a world where you don't have freedom. As American, maybe you have no idea. When you go to another country, then you can see if you're in a communist country or you're in a dictator country, then you can see what things you can do. Here you say, what I can't do. Over there, what can you do? Because you're restricted from so many things, what you can do and you can't. Here there's freedom, and that's also, I think, tremendous blessing and tremendous great opportunity that we have, because finally a deep inside spiritual practice requires a freedom. In fact, according to the in the words of my perfect teacher, the teaching described, may I be born in the land which is free. May I be born in the land where there is conducive environment, that I have freedom of thought, freedom of speech, a freedom to move. I think incredible blessing. So anyway, now as much as freedom, still is not. I'm not saying it's like perfection. There's lots of downfall because no system. As long as our mind is caught in a duality, no system will be perfect. As long as you have fear, there's always a hope. As long as you have a hope, there's always a fear. The challenge is always there. The right is challenged by the left, and left is challenged by the right. So we go through that in life. But nevertheless, having this great opportunity, we need to not waste this freedom, but we need to utilize this freedom to the deepest knowledge a mankind can have, to use one's full potential to see what is basic goodness and how we can overcome that. And now, therefore, the entire Dharma teaching, it's very important that the only thing that you need to work is with the afflictive emotion, whether it's the teaching of the Hinayana, whether it's the teaching of Mahayana in the Buddhist teaching, whether it's the teaching of the higher esoteric practice, they all have one thing in common, and that is to how you can transmute that negative energy into positive and liberate that. And on the spot, then you can see the reality result of that freedom and liberation. So this is something I think when we do spiritual practice, we need to see that we need to change. We should not try to change the world, but we should really try to bring a transformation in ourselves. That's, I think, more realistic, more important. Then, for example, since afflictive emotion is the very cause, then it requires to work within yourself by directing your whole attention and focus to yourself. Like you put a mirror and you see yourself. But if you put the mirror outward, you can't see yourself. Then you don't know. If you want to see yourself, you need to put the mirror to yourself. But if you put the face mirror outside, you will never see what's going with you. I think that's probably one thing how we are doing in our life. We don't see ourselves, but we are always trying to see others. So then there's a big problem when we try to see the others all the time and we miss seeing ourselves. So when everybody is trying to do that same thing, seeing others, we're always missing the point and never seeing that really the afflictive emotion is really my main enemy, not others. One of the great Mahayana masters, Shantideva, he said, your own aggression, your own anger, and the rest of your afflictive emotion, that is something you need to be really careful. You need to be aware of it. Because it has put you into suffering since immemorial time, still today, and it will do in the future. But your so-called enemy can only do temporal harm, but your own mind, which is confused, can do so much harm continuously day and night. So therefore, we need to really understand how to deal with the mind. And further, Shantideva said, the worst thing your enemy can do is take your life. But your own, take your one life. But your own afflictive emotion has been giving you suffering since lifetimes, and in this and future lifetime. So therefore, when you bring these two, which is more dangerous? And then we can also say that your so-called enemy, we meet once in a while. Especially the moment you don't get along, people kind of separates. And you will even try not to live next door if you can see them or hear them. So, and then your enemy doesn't think of harming you all the time because he and she has other things to do in life. Their job is not just you. Their job is themselves, that they want vacation, do other things in life to have fun, not just hating you. They don't put like 20 pictures around in the house, Here is you, there is you, there is you, in their mind is you, Just like, they don't think like that. They like to think of them having fun rather than having. So once in a while you happen to bump each other, it's just, so there's some problem momentarily at that moment, but that's pretty much it. But your own deep fear and your caring and your compassion, your compassion obscured by that destructive quality of ego and aggression. And you lose, in every situation, afflicting emotion is not just your enemy, but it comes in the conflicting emotional connection with all your thoughts. Your thoughts get tainted by so many afflictive emotions. It just brings one will attract so many things. So therefore, understanding the mind, seeing which is the real danger to you, is, I think, by starting to look at that, then there can be transformation. But if we look outside, others' fault all the time. I'm perfect. Everything is because of you I have this problem. Because you did this, therefore I have. We can never find any happiness. We'll be so disturbed, in fact. If you started to look into yourself, who you are, I'm not saying that you need to, make problem and accuse yourself to certain. Just seeing oneself. I think even it's painful that we have certain emotional, weaknesses, a lot of anger, whatever. But at least you see that, and that is the first step of great blessing. Now you can change that, and you're in contact with yourself, instead of running away from yourself. You can put a mask. How much mess? We've been doing that all the time. Really, if we can collect all the mess, this room will be too small. We need like 30 or 1,000 of this room. Day and night we are trying to run away from our cell and trying to put some pretense. At this point we don't even know we're doing pretense. We think it's so real. Come to that level. So therefore, when we do practice of meditation, you are opening up. You are seeing yourself who you are. So that's one way of working. Other way of working in our post-meditation, like when you walk, when you eat, when you go to your office, you need to have a mindfulness of your thoughts, because they shape your life. They shape your experience, whether good and bad, pain or pleasure. Those thoughts are shaping. So therefore, a positive thought is extremely important for a joyful experience. And negative thought is which brings suffering. And furthermore, if we talk about compassion, when we talk, compassion has to relate with reality. Not just simply looking down on someone, but a fundamental reality of nature, how things are. So compassion with wisdom is extremely important. When you try to give a bread to a beggar, that is part of a compassion, but not actual compassion, because still you try to look down on someone. Is a good act mixed with some, not very good, because you look down. There's no openness. So now one way how we see, let's say someone is very angry at you, or whatever other kind of reflexive emotion a person may manifest to you in your life. And then you also get angry. Is that a wise thing? Definitely not a wise thing. But due to our habits, that's the only way we instantly come in that kind of style, react to each other. Anger. So many things like that. But did you ever thought that person who is engulfed with anger has no control? We never think of that. That he or she fundamentally wants to be happy, free. But he or she at that moment lost their kind of mind and have no control of their own mind. And then you also react in the same. There's one word, craziness. So we are all a bit crazy, actually. Everyone is slightly crazy or more crazy, whatever. So, because he or she have no control at that moment. And furthermore, when you look at deeper, there is any inherent anger. We think there is some anger means something, a complete separate entity, an independent unit. Jealousy, an independent unit. Anger, an independent unit. Everything we see, everything we have so much this belief of some independent unit, eternity. Then let's start see if there is such thing. Now, for example, when you get angry, how do you get angry? You can't get angry to empty space. There's nothing to get angry. They'll be really crazy to get angry to empty space. So when you get angry, you need a subject and an object. And this subjectively, the day you are born and the day the other person born who you didn't get along, you didn't have an issue at that time. There'll be quite something too. When you come out of the mother's womb, you have that thought. That also doesn't happen. So as you grow, keep growing up, then many small issues get collected and collected and collect and become quite a big issue. Then you say, first time you did this, I tolerated. Second time you did this, I tolerated. Third time you did this, now I can't take it anymore. So there's a notion of something deep grasping. And what we're seeing here, that it takes many causes and factors for anger to manifest, basically. There's no such thing as inherent anger or independent anger. Without subject And for the subject, for its factor to be built, so in reaction to the object, so many factors, situation, finally there is something you disagree in a big major way with all those factors, then there is something called anger. Same thing, all emotions, jealousy, hatred, desire, attachment, everything is like, do not have an inherent quality. But due to so many factors, finally that particular emotion, pain, pleasure, all of them arises in that way. But we think there is something real anger, a real jealousy, a real something like that. If there is such thing, something so real, it can never go away. The moment you think anger, it's an eternal anger. It will continuously, day and night, you'll be stuck with that thought. If something inherent quality of anger is such thing exists. Because anger also dissolves. Why it dissolves? Because it has no reality. If it does have something concrete, independent reality, it cannot dissolve. It's an interdependent, relative phenomena. But relative phenomena can be long painful. As much as it's relative, it may not just disappear. It may last sometimes. You will not talk to someone for like 2-3 days. And then after 2-3 days, slowly, as we say, time heals. Because what is time? Time is relative. There's no absolute time. Time is conditioned. Time is relative. Our emotions are relative. Our feelings are relative. So therefore, every relative has no inherent quality, but at the same time is interdependent. So the Buddhist teaching of interdependence is something very, very profound, which works our phenomenal experience, how we experience, and then internal mind, how it goes through. And if one can really reflect deeper on this dependent origination philosophy and in how things are interdependent, then we can relate to a reality that we can come out of that. Even when Einstein, theory of relativity, Einstein, he never said theory of absolutity, theory of relativity, because things function based on interdependent. Relativity is interdependent. There is no, if it's no relative, there will be no interdependent. Interdependence is the main function, the engine of relativity, dependent. Now, so therefore, since whether it's energy, external energy, whether it's internal thought, there is that relative. And we miss always seeing the relative quality, and we just think it's so real. And that's the misconception, and that's the ignorance about it. So therefore, we cannot let go. We get angry, we hold on to it, because the mind can habit into that, we just couldn't see. But when we look into that reality, yes, we see really for anything to happen, communication, we said. Communication, that's interdependent. If you can just talk, if things are without interdependent, if things are independent, the word communication will never ever come in this world. If things do not function interdependently, if things are eternal, the word interdependent is no business at all. The entire our collection of art and work and everything has no business at all. The reality functions on interdependent. It's a fantasy we believe. It's so eternal. The attachment we have, including we say, oh, my love is unconditioned. Wonderful. I'm happy. But when an unconditioned becomes conditioned, then there is something shaky ground. Nobody wants to talk about it. Quickly get out. So reality is a little bit different. How we trying to perceive and like to believe. So So anyway, when we see that there is no inherent such thing as anger, it opens your mind. It relieves you by seeing the reality, truth. It is not an invention, an idea of Buddha. It is a reality by itself. Buddha is not the inventor of interdependence. Buddha is not the inventor of relativity. Buddha just saw the nature of interdependence. Therefore, the teaching of interdependence and emptiness becomes so important. Now you hear the other word is emptiness. And some people think, oh, Buddhist emptiness means a negation, nothingness. Never, that's what it meant. If you think nothingness, you'll become stupid. In fact, it says if you think nothingness, you'll probably be born like a groundhog. Because groundhog meditation, you go, just stood up, get absorbed into like that nothingness. Or bears. That's emptiness means because it's dependent, things and events, phenomena is dependent origination, therefore is devoid of inherent independent quality. That's what emptiness means. It doesn't mean things disappear. And dependence, nature itself is empty. And empty is because it's empty, therefore interdependence is possible because it's empty. And empty is possible because it's dependent, because the essence of dependent has no inherent existence, but at the same time, there's a dependent possibility. This is something very profound subject that we need to reflect, study, and reflect and meditate finally. So therefore, once a person has a deep understanding of interdependence, you can understand the nature of all phenomena. And I think that's what's happening today. The quantum physics theory is leading to that, seeing there's no inherent quality, but there is energy. It didn't say it's nothingness, there's energy. But energy itself is completely not fixated. Energy is like dependent energy, dependent. A few years ago, when the scientists were trying to find out the God particle in Switzerland, and Fick boson, I think it's called Fick boson particle. And Fick boson, at this point I don't remember, but anyway, they're trying to find a particle which actually can exist independently. So far, no scientists have ever got there. Reality, no matter how much we try to believe in eternity, eternal, but the reality is always fluid. So finally, they said they found something, and I really read in the internet, how did they find? Because it's not possible in my mind to find an atom which is like independent. And then the description was a probability. Probability means dependent. For example, if there is an atom, can you ever have an atom, no matter how minuscule, tiniest atom, without a direction of east, west, south, north? The east is there because of the south. You can say, and the west is there because of the north. Dependent on each other, then there's a particle. To have a particle which is inherent, never leaning to any direction, it never ever happened. Such a particle, that's what the God particle was, eternity. They never discovered. Same thing when you look at our emotions. There's no inherent anger, but rather many factors which shapes and changes, is constantly changing, constantly shaping. And one of the things, the theory of impermanence in the Buddhist teaching. Impermanence, yes, our life is changing, it's impermanence. We say gross empowerment, we say I was born and I die, so it's impermanence when I die. But right now, I'm still there. But in fact, we are changing every momentarily. How does things changing? Because things are changed by nature to begin with. Not that they are permanent at one stage and they become impermanent at the second stage. If it's permanent in the first stage, then it can never change in the second stage. The fact that it's impermanent in the first stage, therefore it's continuity of change. That's called subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence, you can say, oh, I live in Colorado, now I move to New York. That's a change, course change. But the subtle change happening all the time, whether emotionally, whether environmentally. This house, generally the roof become a big issue for me. So, roof, how's the roof? When you guess, oh, roof, 20 years guarantee, every second, suck, get closer. So it's because it's changed, therefore it's happening all the time. It's not that there was a fundamental roof, and then afterwards, at some point in the universe, there was a change. That it's a change by itself all the time. Our body is changed, all conditioned phenomena is changed. So thoughts, emotion are conditioned. They're not unconditioned. Unconditioned. Now, what is unconditioned? Then when we look at the of interdependent, which is devoid of any inherent quality, that nature we can see is unconditioned. And that is something deeper on a spiritual level one tries to realize is called the oneness of the union of space and energy, or oneness of wisdom and compassion. So we need to see how the reality of the world is function and condition, and its essence that it can transcend. But in order for us to experience transcendence, then we need to really look into that and bring that actual awareness into our life, and then basically lots of sitting meditation, and then we can find the harmony, balance in ourselves, and that could be, then finally there can be liberation. So practice meditation and the altruistic motivation, so important. Altruistic motivation help us to come out of our ego's world. If we don't have that kind of altruistic motivation, we'll be just living in that little world of me and I and our self-centeredness. And if you cannot step out of that world, how can you ever get to the world of unconditioned and liberation and sanity? Because you're always stuck in that, and all you know is that little world, and all you interpret things is around based on that ego's world. Though the potential is there, but we have not learned to look into ourselves. So therefore, reflection, study, and then how to bring reality as instead of living in a superficial world, try to look at those parts, how we can change conditionally, and finally really to gain a freedom from this cycle. I think that is really the main teaching of the Buddhist teaching of Dharma. There's nothing more than that. As far as, since the nature is interdependent, which we all are into that nature, there's no particular conversion in Buddhist teaching, because any conversion has to take place in an eternalistic teaching. Because as far as the teaching of interdependence is concerned, it's the nature. You function in the nature. There's nothing, it's not based on belief. Buddhist teaching is not based on belief. Therefore, Buddha himself said, don't use a word. And if it makes sense, then take it. If it doesn't make sense, leave it. That was Buddha's fearless proclamation. So therefore, I think what I'd like to say tonight, altruistic motivation, how important that is, and then knowing the nature of our conditioned thoughts, and we can see by condition that we can, inherent quality is like completely free of any fixation. That's where we can really see the possibility of freedom, because it's free from all fixation. And that realization comes through the understanding of interdependence. And so something like that I'd like to share tonight. And we can have a little discussion later. And at this point now we can do some meditation. And in doing meditation, so please have your body posture relax, and the straight, back position straight, but very relaxed, no uptightness. And once your body is straight, shoulders not up, no pushing down, just natural and relaxed. Now once the body is relaxed, then your eyes is slightly looking to the tip of your nose, but not penetrating. Relax also. There is no penetration. If you try to focus too hard, then you're missing the point, how to relate with your mind. So you slightly touched, seems like looking to the tip of your nose, and then slightly looking, and then totally relax. And then now go to the breath. Now let me go back one here. Meditation teaching and explain, your body is sitting on the zafu tan, which is the meditation cushion. I think probably it's a Japanese word, zafu tan. Your body is on the zafu. On the zafu is your body. In your body is your mind. Mind relax. Like you drop, if there's a tight rope, you loosen the rope and you drop it. So you want to drop your mind instead of judging your mind and instead of saying, this is this, this is that. You just want to be on the spot here and now, not lost in the past thought or not looking for the future, just completely on the spot, here and now. Your body's here and your mind is there and your mind relax. So then, now you go to the breathing. Your breath is the reference point here, because otherwise our mind will be altered, wavering to different thoughts. So the breath brings you back. When your mind is with the breath, when you breathe out, it's there, your mind is there. When you breathe in, that's it. All you have to do is be with the breath. When you breathe out and breathe in. And then when you do that, not all the time you will feel like just open. You may feel that or you may not feel that. Then suddenly a thought will arise. When a thought arises, whether it's imagination or memory or thoughts of the past, or thoughts something that you're looking, what I'm going to do tomorrow, thoughts of the future, neither you should, look for a thought of the future, nor you should, entertain the thought of the past. In fact, you don't want to suppress those thoughts, and you're not trying to look for those thoughts. Just being here is the most important part with your breathing. And that's where because our minds are so used to wavering thoughts of the past, present, future, and they all get tainted with the afflictive emotion, where we see so real. We hold on to things so real. So here we're learning to seeing the thoughts, without judging. When you don't judge the thought, when you don't try to suppress, when you don't try to bring about, you just leave it naturally, uncontrived. Then the thoughts can come and thoughts can free itself. It's like the ocean. The waves come from the ocean, it goes back into the ocean. Clouds come from the sky, it dissolves back into the sky. It's nature. So when you leave the mind totally natural, uncontrived, then the mind will not be wavering and do not get neurotic and do not get aggravated. And because you are not suppressing thought, it's not stagnating your energy, fundamental energy the mind has, rather the energy become like clear. So therefore, when you have stability in your mind, the result of doing practice of meditation, you become calm, gentle, open, creative, intuition, and fearless. Those qualities come through the practice of meditation. Instead of aggravated, agitated, tension, build-up, fear, conflict, those are replaced, so to speak, because now you find, you're letting the flow of your mind be natural. For example, if you have a car and then you block the exhaust where the smoke goes through, then it will make funny noise because the energy is not released, energy is stagnated, trapped, and finally the engine will, and there can be fire in the car. So if you let the exhaust tailpipe open, then the flow of the energy will go, the car will run, will take you to your destination, and there will be no problem. Same thing in our mind. When we stagnate our mind by going in the past, future, and just wrapped up in all those conflict, and that brings agitation, that brings fear, that makes you neurotic. And do you need that to deal with situation? You don't need that. Therefore, it's called neurotic. You need a clear mind to relate with things and events. You need a wisdom mind to relate with how to solve your problem. But you cannot solve your problem with a neurotic, confused, egoistic mind. So therefore, what we are learning in meditation is how to get deeper to your awareness and seeing your fundamental goodness in yourself. And so therefore, the method here is very simple. You just be with the breath. When you breathe out, you see you're breathing. When you breathe in, you're breathing in. And that's it. And when the thoughts come, you just no suppress, no running after it. Just allow it to be natural. That's how we will do meditation tonight. So everyone relax and make yourself comfortable, your body comfortable, your mind relaxed, and being in the being focused to the awareness of meditation. So here we can have a question and answer period. If you have any questions.
You were talking about sentient beings before, and I like to eat shrimp.
Excuse me?
Shrimp. It's a
Shrimp,
small-
yes. Yes.
So I've had to deal with. Is there a difference between eating 20 shrimp in a meal versus eating a quarter of one chicken?
Quarter?
Part.
Oh,
Piece-
quarter
piece.
of it. So, American Indian saying slow death versus why people, when you kill something with a slow death, doesn't allow you to die instantly, but give like 3-4 days. Cut your thing and put chili inside. Put salt here. And then slowly torture and die. Versus once in a strike. When we look at cause and effect, the process of slow death with painful, the reason they want to give a painful death, because there will be more pain and more suffering. Though killing in the strike is also suffering, but killing slowly is even more painful. So based on slow killing, there's more heavy karma. Versus if you eat 1 shrimp versus 16 shrimp, there's more karma eating 16 shrimp. It's cause and effect. Karma means cause and effect. So there's energy. So if you eat a quarter shrimp and a whole shrimp, on a very minute detail, if you think of the cause and effect on a very minute detail, the majority part, which is you have already killed that animal, that heavy karma, heavy effect is there. But now leaving a quarter part, I think I have to leave a benefit of doubt. Just maybe. I think definitely there is, karma in that, is it? But since you didn't eat the whole thing, but you still share the majority that you went and took that life. So leaving that just tiny bit, yes, you didn't eat that part, but you killed it for yourself. It's the same thing. If that animal has been killed for you, dedicated for you, versus you share that animal with many people, let's say, like a steak, no one can eat 1 whole cow. So maybe like 100 people eat 1 cow. So 100 people share, divided by 100. That's how when you buy the meat from the grocery store, I think majority portion of that karma goes to the owner, because the owner wants to do that business by killing that, and then the owner. So I think like 50% of that karma goes to the owner, because the owner ordered it to be killed for profit. Now you ate it, so you're also taking part in that. So therefore, I think, then if there's like many people sharing it, so everyone divided, everyone has a karma in that, role in that. So even when the police catch a robber, anyone who gives a place for the robber to, thief or robber to give protection, or you lend a car, you become accomplice. So there's a law, cause and effect, because there's a part of you involved with that. So I think karma works that way. It clearly shows from the police when they arrest you, if you give place for someone who have done something serious, then, and you don't report to the police, then that karma, you are becoming part of that, something like that. So there is karma. Karma we need to watch out. You can never escape from the Chinese karma. That's reality, cause and effect. That's why, if there is no karma, you will never experience good or bad. The fact that we go through, each and every individual go through pain and suffering or joy, is due to one's own action and motivation, how that leads to. Now, in killing, there is also difference. Killing by anger, or killing by desire, or killing by ignorance. There's difference, a reaction to that. Killing by anger is the most heavy negative karma. Killing by desire is when we eat meat, chicken, shrimps. That's eat for desire. Killing by ignorance, supposing you walk, you step on a bug and you kill. You didn't intend to kill, but it just happened. So that's lighter karma. But there's still reaction because you are directly engaged with that. So it's very light karma. So same in one killing also. Same thing with every motivation. Anger seems to be the worst. To do anything is the most harmful. So therefore the danger of anger is tremendous. It says that there is no more negative mindset than anger, because it destroys every good merit, everything we have. You have built, let's say, a good relationship with your partner, with your friend, and one very strong anger, you get out of control, and that will destroy everything. So we need to watch out with anger. Very destructive force of anger.
So you mentioned about generating altruistic motivation, and you referenced a situation where somebody is causing a negative action towards you, like they're angry at you and they don't have control of their mind, and you can understand, okay, they're not happy, they're suffering, and then you can have compassion that way. How do you generate that altruistic motivation for somebody who's just like a neutral party, like my neighbor down the street, or people in here, or just people just in general?
Good question. Yes, a lot of times we live in neutral state, such as we go to a coffee shop and we just read a book or internet, read news like that. That's neutral state. But neutral state also, on a subconscious, deeper level, goes towards the negative side too. Neutral side not necessarily goes to the right side. Even it seems like innocent, if you just generally look, but deep inside, then you read something, then it clicks to, political, something disagreement political, and then it raises your anger. And then you think, how I'm going to do what in this way? Or, some issues. So it's just subconscious gossip. Neutral state leads to subconscious gossip. Many subconscious gossip are inherited. If I use the word inherited in self-centeredness. How you perceive that. A lot of time when you disagree, you have aggression. And you like it, then you think, this is the only way. Anyone who disagree with me, that person shouldn't be there. Or whatever. So neutral side also. When we talk basic sanity, altruistic motivation, that's why we need to develop so we can really come out of that subconscious gossip level. Subconscious gossip level is something in practice of meditation when you sit, it's like deep lingering, very subtle lingering. It's not very obvious sometimes. And that is called the thief of meditation. And that needs to be get rid of, because otherwise you will get into subconscious gossip. And finally, it will be just full of, again, back to very disturbed mind it can lead to. So overall, good thought, bad thought, and neutral thought. Neutral thought can lead to that negative thought. So how do we change? So then, so I just can't give the whole thing just in one lecture. Something you need to practice, you will gain your own experience through your own practice. Yeah, okay.
Today I had a car accident, and it wasn't my fault. And before I was coming here, somebody hit me and took my bumper out in the highway, away from me. And then they lay on the highway, and then there was another person came, and then she got caught in that. And how can I deal with, I cannot help thinking, why did it happen to me? Why is it happening to me? I was paying attention to my driving, and then this guy just come and tried to pass me from left or right side, and just have this accident.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to see you here well, and I hope others are also well, Yeah, and the issue of car is a metal thing that can be fixed, But the good thing is nobody got harmed or killed or anything. That's the most important thing. That is something, it's not intentional. Nobody has the intention to get into accident. As I said, nobody wants to get into some difficult situation and looking for suffering. Nobody intend that. It just is an accident. And I think, now you ask me what's the cause and effect. Maybe there's a cause and effect. Maybe this is just a circumstance. Now, sometimes, for example, you can't say everything, for example, you can't say everything is written in your fate, including a car accident on the highway. If that is the case, then, it'll be too much to say. Everything written in the fate. There are something which is fate, and there's something which is circumstance, such as a slippery road, such as how you can skid, or such as something like a lot of traffic. Those are like immediate circumstance versus a fate. Fate is something, you do something negative, then that seed is already planted, and when the secondary condition come, then it will only arise. For example, any karma, the seed alone is not good enough to give the fruit, good and bad. It needs a secondary condition. For example, if you put a seed of a rose flower, just putting the seed will not work. You need to have the manure, you need to have the watering, you need to look after it. Then over a period of time, when the primary cause, the seed, and secondary cause of the caring, then it will mature. So all karma, good and bad, only ripens when the secondary condition is met to the primary cause. And sometimes the secondary condition may not meet in this lifetime, or sometime for a long time. Something what you do in your early lifetime may mature in later life, or may not mature in this lifetime. But it can never go wasted. It's said it's like the shed. When the eagles fly up in the sky, it can fly so high, but you're not going to see the shadow right away. Doesn't mean there will be no shadow. Sooner or later, the eagle has to come down on the earth, and the shadow will appear. Likewise, that's how karma is. Whatever we do, good and bad, it will mature on oneself. Buddha said, that the fruit of our actions will only ripen, fruit of our action will not ripen in the water, will not ripen on the mountain, will not ripen on the land. It will ripen on the consciousness which your body beholds. So your negative actions or your positive action will ripen on the consciousness, which in particular in your case, your consciousness, your body which is whole, on that, whether it's pain or pleasure. But it will not ripen in anybody else. It will just ripen on you. So it could be just a circumstance. And the good thing, nobody got hurt. That's the most important. And I'm happy. Thank you. Yeah. When we talk about faith, that is deep-rooted, something you have done it, and now it's just there, the seed is there. And when the secondary condition meets together, then it just opens up. And then phenomena appears at that level. Pleasure in our mind, pain in our mind, situation, life situation, all just, needs this secondary condition for it to ripen. It cannot ripen itself by primary cause. Okay, very good. Thank you. So let's do a world peace prayer. Yeah. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience. Thus, the neurosis,
from the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So it was really wonderful to be here, being with all of you. Just, when we share something in common, we're all trying to really look into our good, basic good nature, enlightened, trying to discover enlightened mind, trying to develop more compassion, and try to make a good change in our own life and bring change in our world and society. That's something we all should be doing. And thank you all for really trying to do that. Otherwise, you will not be here. The fact that you are here, you want to develop, and discover your basic goodness and make it progress and grow and finally gain liberation. And I will always do the prayer, hold everyone in my heart. Every day I do prayer for the world peace, for all being, and particularly to who I met and know. And thank you. So I'm leaving tomorrow, and I will be back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Do you mind sharing a bit of what you're doing in India this summer?
Yeah. So I'm going to Ladakh, which is my home country where I was born. And then I'm going with my teacher, Chhoje Rinpoche, who you can see his picture up there wearing the robe in the color picture. He's 90 years old. And so he wants to, which is very high. The doctor said he should not fly because of his age. So we're going to drive slowly because it's 12,000 feet. The first level in his monastery is in 14,000 feet. And my monastery is 15,500 feet. So I beat all the 1400s of Colorado fields. I stroll on 15,500 feet. And in order to get to my monastery 15,500 feet, I have to cross 17,000 feet. And really it's amazing. For example, people here, means when you go to the 49ers, you will have your gear, their special shoes. And I see all these nomads just with their regular shoes, climbing a mountain every day, like going to from 15,000 feet, I see them going to 16,000 feet, just like, singing and listening. It's quite amazing. Anyway, they're used to their lung, their breathing. It takes me it takes me 2 months to get acclimatized. It's pretty hard. It's not that easy. Even I'm born there, it's hard for me. Each time when I go there, I get the first few days, a little bit of lightheadedness because of the directly 12,000 feet. So if you go by vehicle, then you acclimatize. So it's much less hardship to your body. Breathing is easier. So Rinpoche and I'm going to go to his monastery. He has a nunnery there. Abbey, I shouldn't say monastery. I think abbey to his abbey. And all the nomadic area country, they are Rinpoche and my student. And we will be doing a Padmasambhava practice and meditation and for a month. And then the other things, I think many things comes up. Since Jim asked me what I'm doing, so actually it's the same thing all over the world. The only difference is there I will drinking butter tea, and here I'm drinking green tea and tea. There's some food difference. The Tibetan high altitude food is barley, and here you have pancakes and everything. That's the only difference. Otherwise, as far as the human nature is concerned, it's pretty much the same everywhere. Everyone has issues to deal with, and that's something we try to give, meet people and talk to them and like that. So I will be doing those, being with my teacher and trying to help him. And so it's a great opportunity, blessing for me, especially now he's 90 years old, and his life is impermanent, and so it's a blessing that to be among great enlightened beings, so that we can learn things. At the same time, the nature of life is impermanent, that whoever is born has to die. It's nothing a punishment, it's the nature of life. But while we are living, we need to make this life really a life of as best you can. The best is to get enlightened. The second best is to have no regret when you die. That is to be really a life of compassion and kindness, and for your own happiness and for others. So we have no regret left. Otherwise, we do a lot of bad things, and then when we die, we do some prayer. That's wish-fulfilling thought. You never know what will happen, you know. So, to follow a life of regret, you do your best. You follow a life of really, a sanity, a compassionate life, and help yourself. When you help others, you're helping yourself. The question of compassion comes. We think, oh, I'm helping others. But it's first of all, you are the first recipient of your compassionate practice. Because you are coming out of your ego's world, which has trapped you for so long. And all the neurosis which brings by that ego. So you get the first blessing. Then others also get the positive energy and positive blessing. And that's the kind of, we all have basic goodness. We are all, it's not the perfect word, this is just my own idea, I use it. We are not designed to be bad, our fundamental nature. We have a design of goodness, basic goodness, which in the Buddhist teaching called everyone has enlightened nature, Buddha nature. Word Buddha means awakened. Word Buddha doesn't mean when you get enlightened, you're suddenly going to be like the golden Buddha. No, you will be the same looking person. But your awareness will, awakening from our ignorance, awakening from our self-centeredness, awakening from that, and we transcend that. That's what the Buddha means, that everyone is the transcendent quality, everyone is the enlightened quality, the basic goodness. So based on that, then everything is possible. Can we really overcome ignorance? Yes. Can we really overcome afflictive emotion? Yes. Why? Because afflictive emotion has no basis. Afflictive emotion, the moment you see its nature, it can fall apart. While the wisdom has the basis, afflictive emotion do not have the basis. It is facade, like which can fall apart. And that you realize through your own personal practice. You can realize that. And that's how we bring an enlightened society in this world. A compassionate society, a caring, respect, that we can all live. We may all have different, way of life, but everyone is, entitled for their respect and caring and affection. Nobody is something, looked down or. That is not the way of the enlightened mind, because everyone has an enlightened mind. And it's just methods, how each person has different style, and we have to incorporate our basic goodness to that, into it. That's how we make life a compassionate life. We make like a holistic life. We make the life possible for everyone to grow. No one is left out. That's how a bodhisattva practice is done in that way. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. So we have some new faces here. It's so wonderful to see you. I want to welcome you to the center if it's your first time, and if you've been here a lot, thank you so much for supporting who we are. I wanted to just go through a few announcements. Maybe some people don't know, we've only been around for 3 years, so it's a relatively new center. The downstairs, we're still in the final stages of getting our certificate of occupancy, but once that's finished, then we'll have a functioning yoga, tai chi room, a library, a caretaker room, so we'll have someone living here. Then the building will be open a lot more often, so we can come and do our practice throughout the day. And we're also building a kitchen downstairs. So the kitchen will be used for our Sangha when we have longer retreats. We can eat here, and we don't have to leave the building, and we can keep the sacred space. So there's a lot more coming with the center, and we've come a really long way. But I wanted to make a plea that we still have a long way to go. So as of right now, we're only covering about 80% of our operating expenses. And those are the expenses to keep the building running, as well as we help to pay for Rinpoche's health insurance and his food when he's here in America. So I want to just put a plea out there that consider becoming a member of our organization. And membership has some perks to you as well. So you get a discount, 10 to 20% discount for all of our programs. You get access to a members-only area of our website where you can hear some previous teachings from Rinpoche. And then you also get first access to private interviews with Rinpoche when he's here in town. So there's some really nice perks for that. If you already are a member, thank you. please consider increasing your membership. Even $5 goes a long way for us to help cover our operating expenses here. And this teaching Rinpoche gave is so amazing that my goal is just to keep it going for as long as possible and keep this center around. So I just want to say, please consider that. We do have an email sign up. If you're new and you haven't signed up for our email, that's the main way of communication to our Sangha, is that we'll send emails out about upcoming teachings. So the email sign up is in the lobby on the right-hand side when you walk out there. And then our weekly events, we have Tuesday night book group at 6:30. And Thursday night, we always have Thursday nights, and when Rinpoche is not here, we always play a teaching from him that he gave in the past. We watch about 20 minutes, and then we all meditate together. So it's a really nice way to keep your practice and keep the continuity. These statues are so blessed, the center is so blessed, you can all feel the power of doing practice here. So even if you make the aspiration to come one Thursday a month, it will really help all of our practice and help our Sangha and our community. And then we're also open on Sundays from 10 until noon. And that's just an open practice session. So there's no guided meditation. Just come and do whatever practice you're doing. But it's a really nice way to spend your Sunday mornings. And then lastly, we also have 3 committees. And we need more help in these committees. So we're a 100% volunteer organization. There's no paid members to our staff. So the 3 committees that we have a programs committee. The programs committee helps to run all of the programs. So when Rinpoche is teaching or when other teachers come, we help to organize, get the center open, get the AV run, and those types of things. And Marcia is the current facilitator. Marcia, raise your hand. If you're interested in joining our programs committee, please talk to Marcia. We could really use some help there. We also have a marketing and fundraising committee that is in charge of marketing the events as well as raising money for the center's needs. And Gail is our current facilitator. So Gail, raise your hand. If you want to become part of the marketing fundraising, please talk to Gail. And then lastly, we have a housekeeping committee. And it's not the most glorified work in the center, but it's maybe the most needed, is just keep the center clean and beautiful. And Rinpoche has said over and over again how much merit is gained by helping to clean the center, and it helps to keep our whole Sangha healthy. And so Julie is our current facilitator there for the housekeeping committee. So raise your hand, Julie. So we could really use some help there, organizing the more housekeeping people. And if you don't have time to, it's about an hour a month of time commitment if you're part of the committee. If you don't have that time, but you just have 20 or 30 minutes, please talk to Julie and help us just sweep the center and clean outside and do some landscaping work. And it would really go a long way, again, to keeping our center full and beautiful. So that's it. Rinpoche, please make the aspiration that Rinpoche returns, that he has a safe trip, and that he returns to us safely and soon. Love you, Rinpoche.